I'm calling this Public Works meeting to get together. It's June 12th. It's another beautiful day in paradise. And first up is the agreement for construction reimbursement on Saltese Way for water and sewer lines. Mike Gridley, welcome.
This might look familiar to you because it's pretty much identical to one that was approved a 3 weeks ago. So as part of the Saltese Way revitalization project, there's property on the south side of Saltese that's owned by River's Edge Apartments. And this piece we call the Waugh Trust site because the original owner, when it was annexed into the city, was Washington Trust Bank, and this was purchased from them. But anyway, this is an agreement where, as part of our project, we will install, or our contractor will install, water and some water pipes and some other sewer lines and driveway approaches, and the developer, the owner of the property, will reimburse us for that. It also includes some money for engineering and design. So, and the aim is to coordinate this with our ongoing project rather than the developer coming in after the fact, after our project's done, and then having to cut pavement or interfere with infrastructure, to put his infrastructure.
Any questions, Jens? Dan?
Yeah.
You love this project.
Oh yeah, this is one of my faves. Is this actually happening now, or are we just getting an agreement so that when it happens, they're gonna reimburse?
It would, I don't know, perhaps Chris Bosley could comment on the status of the Saltese Way project, but it will be done while this project's being done.
Okay, so, but they still have to pay us, because I know that they're still working on, I mean, it's still going through planning, if you want to call it going through planning.
They have submitted something that is, they've submitted it, yeah.
I'm sure it's
not really
delightful
going
and practical and all that, but this is not related to that. This is to get the reimbursements lined up for water and sewer.
Yeah, regardless of what goes on that property, ultimately, these improvements, connections to the water and sewer need to be developed.
And I would assume that the water and sewer connections are in line with what the current zoning is, so that they'll be able to handle whatever ends up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Question? Nope. I'll look for a motion.
Well, I would make a motion to recommend that the council approve the agreement with River's Edge Apartments LLC for construction and reimbursement for Saltese Way water and sewer lines and driveway approaches at the former Washington Trust site.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Without consent for that, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Well, this is a rare moment having Kenny Gabriel is in the house. We never see fire guys.
No, we don't.
We like being here.
We're the underground guys, you know.
It works. Infrastructure.
Welcome, Ken. Some surplus stories.
We do. Our 1986 Mack fire engine that was the bomb back in the day when we got the twins back then. It was our first new engines in quite a while, and they have long since used their life.
It's always an old person.
Its lifespan, and you know, with the addition of the new engines, it's time to start getting rid of some of the stuff we don't use anymore. And we know there's folks out there that could use these. I mean, thanks to our shop and our maintenance, we've taken good care of them, but they're out of compliance, and for us to try to sell them or for us to try to keep it, it's just not feasible for us to do anymore. So I'm asking for the ability to surplus it and the ability to find a department that could use it and give it a good home and take the Coeur d'Alene sticker off the side and wish it well.
Questions?
Does it run?
Yes, sir.
So let's go up and let's ride it around. And we could just
Well, I
drive
call
it
it the
around.
little convertible MG because the new ones are big and bulky. This gets around pretty well, so
That would be fun.
So we won't actually receive any,
compensation, no, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll get a big thank you if that counts for
Yeah.
anything, so,
yeah, doing our part.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
That's cool. How can you disagree with that?
I know. Yeah. 31 years you got out of that thing.
Yes, sir, that's what I grew up driving, was that engine, so it kind of bums me out to see it go, but
Right thing.
it's time, though.
Are we going to get 31 years out of that $1 million baby you got?
Cross your fingers.
So, here's a curious question just popped into my head. When was the last time this thing saw duty for us?
You're gonna laugh at this winter, because back when all the
way.
rigs are broke down,
Yeah?
this one's still running.
Wow.
So we had it running this winter. It's tough because it's got the open cab, so, you know, I grew up in the open cab thinking, yeah, this is pretty nice in the back, but everybody's freezing to death, and it's like, this is what we did, so, but it ran calls this winter.
Excellent.
That's cool. Any other questions? Look for a motion.
I would move that we allow the fire department to surplus the 1986 Mack fire engine and donate it to a smaller rural fire department.
And I would second.
It's been moved and second. Any other questions, discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, come back more often.
Okay.
We don't need general services. I mean, come on, guys.
All right, the one we've been waiting for all day. It's item 3, agreement for temporary wastewater tank. Mike Becker?
Okay, good afternoon, council. Staff is approaching council to authorize us to proceed with an agreement between developer of Lilac Glen and the city to install, operate, maintain, and service a wastewater line and holding tank to serve as a temporary wastewater disposal system for a property located in Lilac Glen, or until public sewer does become available. So first, let's go over a little history of this. Up here on the overhead is Lilac Glen. The red line represents the boundaries of the PUD. It is actually located east of Interstate 90, south of Pennsylvania, and north of what would be Sherman way down off the screen here. This PUD has already been annexed into the city. Construction plans have been approved for the installation of sewer through this future right-of-way, which will be called Lilac Lane. These plans were approved last October, and the developer began construction on the site. One of the properties that is in question is located down here, and it was presently slotted as an agreement between a developer and the owners of the property to construct a duplex there for the owners to occupy. In order for this development to occur, the developer has asked that we make concessions to allow this duplex to be occupied while he does construction out here, which presently the Foss sisters live on these 2 lots here. Once the duplexes were completed, it was the intention of the Foss sisters to move in there. The developer came in for a building permit. Wastewater was one of the departments that signed off on the duplex to be constructed. We do this on other developments for model homes. And so we were gauging the construction schedule of the contractor to coincide with the construction of duplex. Everything seemed to fit to meet the current anticipated schedule. The duplex is now constructed. However, the health district, who's in charge of issuing septic tank drain fields, will not issue a drain field permit for this site because it doesn't meet Idaho rules. So we're kind of in a conundrum, and presently we're working with the developer to try to reach an agreement. We proposed as a condition of this agreement that's before you is in lieu of the immediate extension of this sewer line that's going to be in future Lilac Glen, that this duplex would be allowed to install at no cost to the city and maintain a holding tank for wastewater disposal. This would require an approved pumper to come out and pump out the tank as needed. Part of our agreement, which the city attorney, Randy, the deputy city attorney, and I worked out, was that we place conditions on here to protect the city in this case. One of those conditions is, there's no cost that's going to be associated with this special concession for this holding tank on that property. the city would grant a TCO, a temporary certificate of occupancy, similar to what we would do for like a model home in a development. We have assurances of holding the city harmless from any and all liability that may result as of this project. Additionally, we're requiring that the developer front 150% bond to cover the costs of all that sewer infrastructure, at which has a drop dead date to be installed by November 15th of this year. The developer will also take out an insurance policy additional per the city requirements of $500,000 to cover any kind of liability issues that may result of this. So one of the reasons why we're entertaining this is the developer has actually approached us and asked. We've had difficulty with construction schedules this year because of the high groundwater and the large amounts of moisture that we experienced over the winter has made it construction out there difficult for his contractor. Additionally, from my understanding is all the checklist items have been taken care of for him to immediately proceed with this. The only caveat is that he is asking for us, the city, to make concessions to allow the Foss sisters to occupy this while he does this construction out here where he's stating that he needs this elbow room down here where they're currently residing. So with all this, the city attorney has drafted that agreement. We have presented it to the developer. He has tentatively said that he agrees to this. So I'm standing here before you requesting that we consider moving forward with the temporary holding tank to allow the Foss sisters to live there while construction takes place. And if for some reason this falls through the cracks with the developer, we have the opportunity to use the bond to help get this thing to the finish line. With that, I will entertain a lot of questions because I'm sure that you have them.
Is the tank going to be above ground or underground?
The provisions that we stipulated is that the tank has to be built in a manner that the city is willing to accept it. We would require it to be located below ground, just from the standpoint that we don't want to have this thing end up being a problem where if we get an unexpected freeze, early freeze, or high groundwater for the tank to float. We know that we do have some issues out there with groundwater, but there can be provisions in place, like I mentioned, that we would have to be accepted by the city in a manner that we're willing to live with. Mr. Gookin.
Thank you. Mike, holding tank and a septic tank. I know a septic tank's connected to a drain field, and you said there couldn't be a drain field on here. I assume the lot's too small. What's the difference between a holding tank and a septic tank?
Septic tank has a pipe that goes out. Holding tank does not.
Lovely. One-way trip. Bond amount was for $500,000?
No, the bond amount's gonna be
That's
based
insurance.
on, the city's gonna, if we're moving forward with this, the city will use some of our contractors that are currently under contract with the wastewater utility to take a takeoff cost estimate of this, and so we will have what would be considered the most accurate bid for this project, times 150%, obviously.
So if this drags on and on and on, then we would be able to draw on that to actually connect them to a sewer.
On November 16th of this year, we would be able to immediately proceed on this.
Seems really aggressive.
It is very aggressive. The contractor has had since October 10th to try to iron out these indifferences, and we feel that he can still attain the objective, but it requires effort to be made on his behalf.
Yeah.
We can't control methods and means. We can only provide a contract date that would be realistic but still aggressive enough to force his hand to take this thing to the finish line so we don't need to cash in on his bond.
And that's good, because that was one of my concerns with this was, how long is this, temporary tank? I mean, in government, sometimes temporary things are forever. And I wouldn't want, it seems like we have been taken advantage of somehow, I don't know how, but I don't want to put the occupants of the house out, because this is not their fault, I don't think. I mean, how could it be? And I don't want us to be the bad guys for them, so.
I think the city has reached out very generously here. This is something that we would not normally do, but we have enough provisions in place to protect the city from any further liability here. Again, we've met with all the players, the city attorney, and I feel that we're kind of reaching a comfort factor here that we can still work cooperatively with the developer to get this thing to the finish line. It is doable, again, aggressive, but yet we want it done this year. We don't want to go through the winter and have to deal with this ongoing.
So you're thinking we won't see you asking for an extension come November? It'll be too cold, right?
Well, I don't want to say you won't see me because I'm always happy to be here and talk with you guys. You'll see me on other things, but hopefully not with regards to this. So I had a conversation with the development's engineer an hour and a half ago, and he assures me that the developer is taking this seriously.
And that's good.
That is good.
Well, I'm comfy with it. Like I said, talking before the meeting, I was a little bit taken aback by this one. I'm like, what's going on? How does this kind of thing happen? But it's always good to see the city willing to cooperate and to do what's right for people. And, I see that we have a big stick, so hopefully we'll get something out of it, and for the sake of the occupants of the house, so that they can be hooked up to our sewer.
Agreed. And I'm hoping that we don't have to end up swinging that big stick.
Yeah.
I appreciate you've kind of gone to the wall, Mike, and pushed him and then made a deal, so I think it'll get done. Appreciate you kind of making it happen, so.
Sure.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
So with that, look for a motion.
Well, I would move to authorize staff to execute an agreement with Larry Fluitt, who's the developer, and Scott MacArthur, who's the project engineer, and Lilac Glen LLC to install and operate and maintain and service a wastewater line and a holding tank to serve as a temporary wastewater disposal system for the Foss duplex until the developer extends the public sewer and connects the Foss duplex as required by the development agreement.
Excuse me.
And
Councilman Gookin, the city engineer and I discussed this further, and this somehow was left in here. We would like to stricken Scott MacArthur's name from that. And he works for the developer while he has no active role in making the official decisions on the developer's behalf.
okay.
My apologies.
No, it's all right. He's just in the staff report, so that's what I read. And we'll just remove his name from that motion. Thank you.
Okay, look for a second.
I will second it once.
And with that, discussion?
So you think this is consent worthy, or, I don't know.
I think consent would carry it until next time. And then
Yeah,
then we'll beat on him.
if it comes back, it's not gonna be consent, so.
Yeah. We'll embarrass him.
Yeah.
All right.
A little suggestion from the peanut gallery.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent, please.
Thank you.
And with that, any words for wisdom for the
No, everyone
folks?
enjoy out there, be safe. What do we have coming up, I guess? There's Iron Man coming up, and Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur
and
d'Alene.
Downtown's gonna be hopping, and
Yep.
weather's cooperating, so, yeah.
4th of
Chamber of
July.
Commerce Day.
Yeah.
4th of July, yeah, we'll see you
Great.
next, the end of the
Oh,
month.
yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
Look for
thanks.
adjourn.
Adjournment.
Second.
Just
Aye,
running
aye.
stretch close.
Yeah.
Just trying to get 4 more minutes for,
Oh, for Jeff
For
to,
Jeff.
to pad it out?
yeah.
Oh.
You had a 27-minute this afternoon.